the Hall of Fame experience, I don't know what you thought about it beforehand. Was it better than you thought when you were up there and went through the whole thing?
I think it was overwhelming. It was more than I thought it would be, and in some ways that's good, and in other ways it was bad. The induction itself, which is really what people go for, whether it's family members or just fans in general, they go to hear their guy speak, was really special because you kind of get to hear some things maybe you didn't know from fellow inductees. And I have to admit, there was a tremendous amount of anxiety, and I don't know if it was fear. I wanted to get it right, and you only have one opportunity. They don't say come back next year and do over. And so you want to kind of, and they also give you, do it in 8 to 20 minutes, which I went over that. But I mean, 20 years is a long time. So you want to kind of get everything in a short amount of time and hit a home run. And that's a lot of pressure. So after it was over, I felt like maybe I didn't hit a home run, but I hit one off the wall, but I was pleased that it was over and that I did it justice.
Let me ask you, this is a question a lot of people would ask. Is there somebody that you heard from or you saw in Canton that just amazed you, that they wanted to meet Brett Favre or they wanted to be a part of the
Well, there
the
were
Hall
several
of Fame
people, I think I touched a lot in my induction or in interviews, not only recently, but over my career, of how much respect I have for the game, but all the players that played before me. I was a tremendous, tremendous Dallas Cowboys fan growing up. And, meeting Roger Staubach, which was a long time ago, was, even though I'd won my first MVP, I thought, man, this is really cool. I mean, this is my hero. And that never went away. But I met a lot of guys at the induction a few weeks ago, and one in particular I'd already met before. Actually, this guy I had not met before. I'd seen him before, but I hadn't met him, and that was Mean Joe Green. And he still looks great, but he came up to me after the induction and he was like, man, that was a really great speech, and just, really wanted to come over and tell you. I'm like, you're Mean Joe Green. He's like, I'm Joe Green. And he was the nicest guy. And I thought, he's not Mean Joe Green. But he wanted to meet me, and the other guy who I had met before, but talked to again, was Ed Too Tall Jones, who, again, I was a huge Cowboys fan. I knew every player. I knew everything about him. And he came over and I'm really pleased to meet you and all that stuff. And I'm like, too tall? Are you kidding me? I still, I don't know if it'll ever go away. I never can say, I'm one of, we're the equals now. And Archie Manning, who's not in the Hall of Fame, but was always a hero of mine. I tell Archie that all the time. I'm like, I still think back of being in the yard and I'm either Archie throwing one underhand or I'm Roger Staubach reversing field and doing all this stuff. And by meeting you and accomplishing all this stuff, it doesn't make it go away. I still look at Archie Manning as he's Archie Manning, so which is pretty cool. I think it really it gives the respect to those guys that they rightly deserve.
All right, last question. We've talked about coaches and all that, but your bride of so many years, Deanna, is as big a part of all of this as any coach or any teammate you've ever had. In fact, she's the ultimate teammate.
Well, she introduced me. It was, and I said at the end, it was a perfect choice. She'd been there long before my first touchdown pass and long after my last, and that's true. She was an avid supporter of me all the time. There was times, believe it or not, that I would talk to her on the phone in college, and I'm like, I just don't know, if I'm gonna get a shot or if I can do it. And she would be like, oh yeah, you can do it. Oh, well, you think I can? And so she would always lift me up, and it's just been there along the way throughout. And she was so nervous, she didn't want to do it. She thought she'd do a bad. She did awesome. She looked awesome, and she did awesome.